But you know what? We're now live for the Comic Den. Sadly, Steve is sick this week, but actually, we had planned a guest or good friend, comic book fan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's nice Sunday. Thank you for having me on and talking about Good
It's
Things Comics.
great to have you here. And you know what? Before we get into it, let's hit that intro.
Welcome to the Dingus Den.
You are all good. All right. Well, we are live here. Thank you so much for being available to continue on the show, as since Steve isn't present today. But you know what? Show's gonna go on. So grateful that you're here to join today. So we still have a Comic Den this week, and you know what? I'm actually very excited to talk about our main topic today. Where we're be sure to tune in all the way through, where we're going to be talking about Absolute Flash and Absolute Martian Manhunter. Absolute Martian Manhunter just dropped this week and Absolute Flash last week. I know you in particular were saying we should talk about Absolute Flash, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we could figure out some sort of double feature with Martian Manhunter as well, because I've heard a lot of big talk about the book of just people saying it's incredible, and now I understand where some of that talk is coming from. So be sure to stay for us to talk about that. But before all that, we have all our other regular bits and news stuff in the show we cover. And so let's get on into it. I do want to shout out, we have Chris, aka Darth Pyron, in the chat, as well as Taco Cat. Welcome in. Great to see you all here right off the bat. And yeah. So without further ado, let's do some house cleaning here. All right. If you like what we do here, be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Something I do want to highlight, and I'm probably going to actually highlight this a couple times in the show. Even though I don't have the live setup for it yet, I actually have a special planned episode for next week. Actually, next 2 episodes are planned. I swear this is the most planned I've been here in the Comic Den yet. But next episode is actually a special episode because I don't only have one guest, but I'm planning on having 2 guests join us next week. And those 2 guests actually have a Kickstarter going on that you can see right here. Actually, let me share my screen here, comics, so you can see this stuff as well. Yeah. But next week you can see I will be joined by the writer and artist of this Kickstarter for Superguy. I have followed the writer for a while. It's actually his first ever Kickstarter project. And so very excited to, I've actually, even since before this comics is a thing, I've been trying to get him on, and just our timing has never worked out, and different things with either him or me, you know how life is. But finally, we're able to get something together here. So be sure to tune in next week for a special indie episode, where we're not going to be focused on at least our main topic being talked about a Marvel or DC comic, but we're actually going to be talking about their Kickstarter project here that's happening about Superguy issue 1. So be sure to check out the special indie comic episode that we'll be doing next week. So very glad to have them on next week, and hopefully be the start of something more, as I'd love to get more indie creators and whatnot involved, or even just more non-Marvel and DC stuff in general, trying to get talked about here. So yeah,
good stuff.
So be sure to tune in. Thank you. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They actually have a bit of variant covers here, but we'll be talking about it. Here's their preview. We'll be all getting into it. Yeah, we'll be getting into this next week, so stay tuned. So yeah, I particularly like that cover there. So stay tuned for next week, where we'll be talking about that. All right, but let's say hello to where we got Castro putting W's in the chat. So he's going to be here lurking. He's streaming himself, lame, and you're streaming Alan tune into us. No, I'm joking. Hope your stream's going well. And also, Gannon, aka Patrick, is here. King Castro raid. So,
good people. Good people.
Castro saying raid. I wish, man. 2 of my favorite streamers had to pop in. Oh, thank you.
Oh, bless you. Bless you.
So anyway, let's get into the main bits here. Let's talk about, is there been anything that you have read over the last week or so that you'd like to highlight that's just really good? Here, I'll start.
Yep.
I have, in particular, read, I'll be honest, last week has been pretty busy, so this has really been the only thing I've read, but I highly recommend it. Something that you might have heard of is something called Battle Chasers. This is actually something I picked up at the con for a really good price, and this has been a series that I wanted to check out for a bit. And so anyway, Battle Chasers is created by this person named Joe, let's see here, Maduria. I probably butchered that name, but hey, I did what I could. I tried. But anyway, it's an awesome fantasy story. It went on for 9 issues. And then I don't know why it got canceled, but it ended. And so what's cool is I know a bit of that story actually continued in a video game. And part of the reason probably maybe why it ended as well is because that person went on to found a game studio, and the most recognizable games that people might know from this game studio is the Darksider games, where they've done 3 of those Darksider games. And so, and then they also did a game that I was just saying called Battle Chasers Night War, I believe. That's a follow-up to that comic. But, and then I also found out when also looking into it that they did another 3 issues. So there's technically actually an issue 10, 11, and 12 with another arc that just happened as well. That looks like it follows one of the plot threads in particular, making me think the game focuses on something else or something. And so I actually just recently bought those digitally, so I haven't read those yet, but they're probably up next on my reading list.
I wonder if they're in the UK.
Yeah, you should definitely look into checking out. What's cool is this is an edition that got published just before the new stuff came out, so it has all of the 9 issues and the prelude, and so it's really cool. And it includes like a bunch of cool like art and stuff and the back and whatnot, which is cool.
It's bonus features.
There's a good bit of pages too. Like it has so much. I was expecting a whole other issue there, and then no, it's just all a bunch of special art stuff. If you look at it, all this stuff here is art stuff here. So there's a good bit of bonus content here in this issue, which is cool. So dig it.
Nice. It's good.
What about you? Anything you read this last week that was like, wow, that's really good?
Yeah, well, apart from the Flash and Martian Manhunter stuff,
yeah,
I've been catching up with a bit of the X-Men. Is the Uncanny, the other X-Men, mostly them two. I've got the other ones that I've got to catch up on.
Yeah.
But I liked what they've been doing so far with the raid on Grey Malkin story arc.
Oh, nice.
It's really good. Linking to Cassandra Nova, I think, is coming back. Maybe there's some sort of big force behind everything that's locked up behind the prison.
It's interesting you say that, because I remember check out the episode of the Mutant Club where me and Steve talked about the first issue of that X-Men, and there's that little, you remember in those first issues, each of those had a little QR code scanner of like a special little post-credit scene for the comic that you could scan with your phone and check out. In the one for that first X-Men issue, it showed these different figures that are silhouetted, and I was like, we were talking that I thought one of them was Cassandra Nova, so which is very interesting. So yeah. I'm looking forward to reading that arc though. That is, I personally stopped picking up X-Men, I think literally right before that arc, because I was like, I don't want everything to, like, I don't want to buy all this additional stuff of like just them all tying over and everything. So
Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot coming out. And I
Yeah.
think there's also the new to concern with Professor Xavier. There's a mini one coming out that's across 7 issues, including Storm. That's come out. I've only got like 4 of the issues because I collect a few X-Men. I don't
Yeah.
collect everything because there's too many. But there is a lot of like crossovers and stuff. A lot of information, a lot of stuff happening. But I'm enjoying what I've read so far. You got the best of both worlds. You got the different teams on each one. You got like Jubilee.
Yeah.
And you got Rogue on one, and you got Cyclops on the other. So it's nice seeing the whole kind of different angles of the X-Men universe. I've been reading that, and I've also been reading catching up on Ultimate. So I read the Marvel version of the what they're doing with DC. So I read the Spider-Man. Nearly caught up on that. I think I'm on issue 13, which is with Craven.
Nice.
With the hunt.
That's cool.
And I've also been reading some JSA, which is I'm really liking. I didn't realize it was going to be that great, but it's really keeping me hooked. Really liking it.
That's awesome.
So good so far. I haven't read as much as I want to, but hopefully we got the holidays coming up soon, so I can catch up. I got a lot to do, but a lot to read. But it's exciting. Lots to read.
Nice. Yeah, there's never a lack of stuff to read, you know. If there's any show to keep going forever, it's this show. There's never nothing to talk about. So even if they stop making comics today, you know, there's such a rich backlog of everything that has already come out, you know. So
yeah, so much.
There's so much. There's so much, and part of the reason why I love it is because, you know, there's so many stories, and just naturally, when you have so many stories, there's no way you're ever going to be able to see all those stories adapted anywhere else.
It's true.
So
it's right thing.
Very, very rich. Very, very rich indeed. All right. Well, let's continue on to the next section where we talk about what's up on our pull list. Actually, this week for me is a very short list, where actually the 2 things on my list, I only have 2 things on my list, which is crazy. I had a bunch of stuff last week, so I guess it balances out. But the 2 things on my list are also on your list, and so we'll go ahead and get into those. I have here Absolute Superman issue 6. Actually, I just started reading issue 5 like just before we went live. And so looking forward to this. I don't remember if it's this issue or the issue after where it's the beginning of a new well, if it's issue 5 or issue 6, that is the beginning of a new arc. No. Or the end of an arc is what I meant. Jesus. My words not right now. But anyway, so that's cool. Because I want to say issue 5 of that Superman arc was the end of the arc. So
I can't remember if I've read it. I don't know if I've read issue 5. I did like where I binge read all of them to catch up, but I don't know if if I have read issue 5. I can't remember. But I know it was really, to the end.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like all the stuff that they've been going on, like with Krypton. Like they provide it's a new take on Krypton, which is cool. And like the events of like what's going on with Krypton, and you know, leading to how everybody thinks of Krypton with it being blown up. Like it's a interesting change of events that they have for it, which is really cool. And so like I've really enjoyed that.
It's good, like with the parents as well, how they're not just like on the chain of like power in the whole Krypton. It's very political and social. So it's a good angle into it. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool. Definitely recommend. Honestly, I recommend all the Absolute stuff. All the Absolute stuff has been great, and so we're excited to go into the new ones in particular. But speaking of new Absolute comics, we actually have the premiere of a new special issue 1 of a new Absolute series, which I'm very interested in how it will turn out, and that's Absolute Green Lantern. So we'll see how that turns out. Very much looking forward to this one as well, as we're seeing Joe take the spotlight here, as which is going to be interesting. But if you also look as well, you can see a new take of John Stewart there on the bottom right. And then at the top left there is Hal Jordan, where it looks like he has a big hand reaching out. A black hand, where if you know Black Hand, wink, wink. Yeah, quite cool. So.
Yeah, it's very, like the art. Very good art.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. They haven't said much. I mean, they never really said much about what to expect from any of these series, which I think is probably for the better. But so far, as far as I'm concerned, they're 5 for 5, knocking them, doing a great job. So, very cool. All right.
Very
Anyway,
strong.
yeah, we got a bit of stuff that's on your list here. There's actually, no, not that one. One DC comic on your list here. One other DC.
Oh,
Just
well,
talking about.
JSA.
Yeah, you're just
Yeah.
talking about how good JSA is. This is one I'd actually like to check out sometime. It's either one I'm gonna wait to just catch up on digitally or the trade. So with them seeing an issue 6 here, that means it looks like it'd be the end of an arc, especially with that kind of cover. So cool to know that.
It's all leading up to something. It's really like I like just all the different characters, and I mean this and New Gods as well, which is another one.
New Gods is good. Yeah,
very good.
I need to catch up on that as well. I have issues 3 and 4 in my stack to read, but the first 2 were really good, so I'm looking forward to reading more of that. So, but yeah, no, it's a great time to be a DC fan right now. There's a bunch of great stuff going on right now. So, but I think all your other stuff is mainly just Marvel.
Marvel, yeah.
Marvel. Got the Psylocke series going on here, which is cool. Got X-Men that you were just talking about a bit as well. So that's cool.
I like the cover of that one. It's a good cover.
Yeah, that is a really good cover. I do like it. I remember this character being interesting from what I read. Here you got Deadpool 13. That's an interesting character in the back. With a special appearance by Wolverine. Oh, okay.
Reason to seek it out. So fun. Yeah, Wolverine.
We got all new Venom, the special issue where the identity of this all new Venom that they have been keeping for a secret now. It's finally revealed, and people think it's got revealed via a variant cover. But this is one I want to check out. Didn't you say you like what everything else leading up to this?
Yeah, I think so. I think that thing is I've read 2 or 3 issues, so I'm a bit behind. But even just the idea that they put in your head about who it could be, they've got the different characters. I mean, I could be wrong, I think it could possibly be, but it's it goes the mystery aspect really well, I think.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a Venom comic where you don't know who it is, because that's part of like the strength of the Venom comics is the human alter ego, and that you don't know. So you're trying to guess by the actions of this Venom what it is, and it's it makes you keep coming. Well, me personally, I don't know what the reviews of this series are, but just for me personally, I'm digging it. I think it's a lot of fun, a lot of mystery to it that just keeps me coming back. I don't know if it'll be after this if I keep coming to it, but so far, and this is a special one.
I'm looking forward to eventually getting into this one. I actually ended up bought the first issue whenever it came out. It also didn't help. It was like the only one left now. I was like, well, I guess if there's a time to get it, I'll get it now, so I don't miss out on it. But welcome in, Matthew. What's up, Matthew? Good to see you here.
Hi, Matthew.
But no, I haven't read it yet though, because I'm trying to catch up on finishing up the last Venom run that came out. But all I have left of that last Venom run is the Venom War, but I want to read like all the stuff to that. And there's a bunch of tie-ins, so I've just been waiting for when I really feel like reading Venom stuff and start going through all the different tie-ins and whatnot with Venom War, which might be one of the first events. Actually, no, I think there's one event that I've read every single tie-in to. No, 2 events. There's 2 events I've actually read, and not only read, but also bought every single tie-in to. But when I was into that, those 2 events are Dark Knight's Death Metal and War of the Bounty Hunters, which was a Star Wars arc that I was really excited for. But point of that though is I think that's the only 2 comics that I've completely read every single like tie-in as far as those big events go, because the Venom War has a bunch of tie-ins and stuff. But anyway, point is though, I'm looking forward to getting into this eventually, because Venom is one of my favorite Marvel anti-heroes. So looking forward to just looking forward to getting into it. That's all of what's on your list, but there is a few other Marvel titles that issue 1s that comes out this week that is worth mentioning. I don't know if I'm going to get any of these right offhand, but I just want to mention them at the very least.
Ah.
Charles Soule's Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, which is kind of alternate, older take on Daredevil. In some ways, kind of like his version of Logan, if you will. So, special 3-issue miniseries. And so each issue is a little bigger. This one's actually at $6.99, so it's a little more expensive than your average.
I don't have to wait for that or not.
Yeah,
wait for the trade will get
probably
only 3 issues.
Yeah. One I probably wait on, but I'm also not a big Daredevil reader.
Yeah.
We also have the first issue of the end of a trilogy of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one last time. Because we had Daredevil Kills the Marvel Universe, and I think the second one was Deadpool. I said Daredevil, didn't I?
Again?
Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and then it was Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one more time, and then we have here Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe one last time. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was again. I thought it was Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe again, but it's different title. I thought, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, he's killing.
Yeah, I never read the first one. I have it on trade, but I haven't got to it yet. But always wanted to read it.
I want to say I've read that first one a while ago. It was a long time ago. Like one of the earlier comics I read. Gets brutal. Also that from what I remember of it. One last thing, and it is specifically for Chris. There's Concert of Champions, where it's a music-based one-shot featuring all your favorite music heroes and whatnot. So there you go. All right. Well, that wraps up the pool of all the stuff that we're looking forward to. That's coming out from this week. I have something here that, you know what, we'll go ahead and just talk about this a little bit, as it was big news that came out this week, and I feel like we have to mention it. And I think this is the only other bit of Marvel news on the docket, and actually the only bit of Marvel news I have on the docket. I think it's worth talking about all this casting announcement that happened with Doomsday, and rumored is that they're not even done casting, and so we got a bunch of names revealed here. Thor's back, Fantastic Four's back, Captain America, Winter Soldier, where we find out, there's Shuri's back, or technically the current Black Panther. Oh, there's a normal chair for Ant-Man in the new video. That's funny. No, it's a normal size chair now, and not the tiny one that they showed in the initial reveal, which I found funny. But we're getting that. We have U.S. Agent, finding out that all the Thunderbolts live. This was actually a surprise for me, is seeing Namor's back, which I wasn't expecting to see Namor come back. So that was, like up to this point, it's like, yeah, I could see everybody, all these people here coming back. And then you see Namor, it's like, oh, that's the one I wasn't expecting at all. Obviously, we have another member of Fantastic Four there. Shang-Chi's back. That's pretty cool.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad he's coming back, because I think
agree.
it's awesome that he's got another shot, because his film was really good. His film was great.
Yeah, I really did like that. But then we got Beast confirmed coming back here.
Sentry.
Yep, Sentry. Oh, got lots of names here, as we find out more and more of the Thunderbolts. We got M'Baku back, so that's cool. So lots of there we got Loki coming back, which makes sense. But then here's the big part of where it's like, whoa, Patrick Stewart's coming back, where, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that, I'm not surprised to see him in some I'm sorry, Chris. We didn't say Namor right. Remember how they say in the Namor. Namor, as they say in the movie. But here's the big part, though, of this is like the big surprise to me, is And when you think about it, it makes sense considering what happened at the end of the Marvels and seeing Beast there. But we're getting Patrick Stewart back, which, you know, I figured we'd see him back at some point, even if not in this, but probably in Secret Wars, where Secret Wars are going to just try to have as many people as they can. But the big thing for me was saying, holy crap, Ian McKellen is back, as, you know, meaning and as we go through the rest of this X-Men cast here, you know, Nightcrawler there.
Yeah. A surprise Nightcrawler.
Yeah, seeing Cyclops there and all those, like having 6 of the original X-Men cast members confirmed. Like, we're going back to the original, like, 3 Fox X-Men movies. And when you think about it, you know, it also tied into Days of Future Past, where we got to the last glimpse of that universe that we got to see was really open-ended. You know, we didn't get a definitive end to that universe. So when I see them back, you're right, we got the real Mystique back, Matthew. And so with that previous announcement there, here we go.
It's like this shot, just the one shot of just
the one shot of all the tears. Right? Yeah,
you don't know what shot's going to be next. It's
real Mystique, real Cyclops. Well, you know, I thought the new X-Men were pretty good, but problem is their last 2 movies, right? Because the last 2 they did well. Dark Phoenix was absolute shit. That's like one of the worst comic book movies ever. I don't want to talk about that again. But then, or see it again. I know. But then even then, like, Apocalypse wasn't even that good. Like, Apocalypse at least had a few moments or things going for it, but overall it still wasn't that good. But I feel like Last Stand isn't as, like, it's not a great movie, but, like, yeah, I don't feel like it's as bad, like, but it's still not particularly good either. But, you know, like, with that being the last main movie of the X-Men, and then, you know, Days of Future Past was in a way like a cool send-off to him, but then at the same time it left it very open-ended, where, you know, we remember the end of that movie, Wolverine's back in that sort of, like, world, you know. And so I'm excited to see just them back at least one more time, as I think the point of this as well, and Deadpool and Wolverine kind of started with this idea, but it's carrying on with the idea much more in Doomsday and Secret Wars, particularly probably Doomsday, is giving an end to some of these universes that didn't get a proper conclusion. And that's part of, like, what I really liked about or character stories in general. Of, you know, with Deadpool and Wolverine, we got to see Blade and Elektra back, where they never particularly, you know, got a good ending. Or even then, the story of X-23, we never know where X-23 went after Logan, you know. And so anyway, that idea, it's cool to see that idea carried on here with the original X-Men, where I mean, Days of Future Past, like, as far as we're talking pure X-Men movies, not the Wolverine movies, like, Days of Future Past is my favorite, but second favorite might be the first X-Men movie. That or First Class. I really like that one too, but I'm just excited to see the original cast back. So, but and then here's another interesting surprise as well. Yeah. Makes me wonder if we're going to be getting the other, you know what, we'll get into that in a moment too, but it makes me wonder what others of the Deadpool and Wolverine cast will also get back. But yeah, back. And then, of course, there's Pedro Pascal, and then the man himself, Robert Downey Jr., aka Dr. Doom, which we'll see how all that turns out. So there we go. So, but yeah, you know, it's interesting. You know, definitely a couple interesting surprises here. I know some people were like, well, why are they revealing them now? Like, I don't, you know. But I think the reason why is when you have a movie this big, Marvel can't escape not having, especially with as big of the movie that this is, no way to not have these names leaked out ahead of time. And so I honestly think with them in this scenario, I honestly
Yeah.
think it was quite smart for them in the way they did this, because you know all these chairs were revealed very slowly. That you know that the what was it? I should say that I completely lost my train of thought there as I was distracted by Kilo in the chat here. What's up, Kilo? Welcome in. Chris is also saying saw a far-fetched rumor of Chris Evans and Fantastic Four, which is cool.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like I'm sure there's more names coming up, but I'm sure that's not
Yeah,
all. I would have liked to see Eric Bana, the Hulk, back, kind of thing.
Yeah, see that's you know that's the thing is we didn't see Mark Ruffalo mentioned. We don't have She-Hulk mentioned. We don't have Star-Lord there. Where remember at the end of Guardians 3, they did say the legendary Star-Lord will return, and so like I'm fully expecting to have Star-Lord back in some capacity, not necessarily big, but like I expect him to be back. Yeah, I mean, like none of the Guardians were there, but like of all of them, I'd expect Star-Lord since he's directly there on Earth.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, we've got the second one coming. You know, it could be like the first when we had Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. We could get some like the first part, and then second part we could get other members in. So because I heard
we'll see.
Cumberbatch was coming in. I didn't see his name on the chair.
Doctor Strange. We didn't have Spider-Man there, which is like I thought like pretty much near confirmed at this point that Spider-Man was in the movie as well. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can find something here. It's funny here that with Kilo saying I don't have the picture readily available to show, but he was saying and also me because you know there's a bunch of jokes out there. Maybe you've seen of like people just joking about people that's in Doomsday as they're like, oh yeah, we have all these characters coming back. Here's all these other like funny people coming back, like Shrek or something like that. You know,
the cat from Flow. The cat. I think you sent me the cat from Flow.
Yeah. I sent you the cat from Flow was one. Yeah, and so it's hilarious, and so. People say no Tom Holland because of Odyssey. Well, the rumor is, and this is why I've heard about it, and particularly the reason why I would say Spider-Man is near confirmed about it, is because they were talking about, I was hearing talk about Tom Holland wouldn't be much on the set yet. Like his Spider-Man's character, you're barely going to see a maskless because it's going to be a stunt double under the mask, and then he'll dub over the voice later, is what I've heard. So, you know, very much a Mandalorian situation with how they made Mandalorian and, you know, Pedro Pascal and Mandalorian. You know, a lot of times when you watch Mandalorian, it's actually not Pedro Pascal in the Mandalorian armor. A lot of times he just does the voiceovers for Mandalorian. So, but you know, I mean, that's still Tom Holland as Spider-Man. You know, but at the end of it, but you know, it's gonna be interesting though, because in this movie, though, it is gonna be like, well, Spider-Man is technically half Tom Holland and then half his stunt double. You know, so we'll see what happens there. I'm trying to remember, like, you know, obviously Deadpool and Wolverine weren't there. Other members of the classic X-Men weren't there as well. So
Storm, I don't think Storm was listed.
Yeah, Storm wasn't Halle Berry. Yeah, that was a big one. People were like, "Is Halle Berry not there?" And she was a big part of the old X-Men, or even just Wolverine. You know, like. We could very well see Hugh Jackman in two different Wolverines, the one from Deadpool and Wolverine and the one from that classic X-Men universe, you know? So
yeah. Potential for which one?
Yeah. Marvel, so Chris is saying I heard they will announce him in the next wave because he's not there yet. Which makes sense as I think you know production just started, so we'll probably get a wave 2 of chair announcements as they film stuff with a bunch of the other cast. So we'll see what happens. You know, well, I'm remaining. Yeah, no Ryan Reynolds.
Optimistic.
I'm remaining optimistic because I still have some. You know, I'm not sure how to feel about some of the stuff that they're doing with Doom. It is interesting though of some of the rumors or theories that's going on with what Doom's up to. whether you like how Doom's portrayed or not. I think it's interesting what this Doom is doing specifically. As the rumor is that he's actually trying to save the multiverse, or theories being that he's actually trying to save the multiverse. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I actually saw this theory that I really like, that it's a double-edged sword, the name Doomsday, because Dr. Doom is here trying to prevent Doomsday of the multiverse as it's slowly collapsing in some way. And but then also Doomsday could have another meaning in the way of he's going to fix the multiverse into this battle world as we know it. And as we know, in Battle World, he has his own Doomsday sort of day there as well. That would be celebrated. So
yeah, a lot of things that could happen.
So,
I mean, it's a big movie.
Yeah.
Waiting on it.
Welcome in, Horsey Mart. Hey, how's it going, Horsey Mart? We are doing good. We were just talking about the Doomsday cast and everybody missing from it. You know what, everyone, let me know if you're looking forward to this Avengers movie, because, like, you know, the more I'm seeing of it, the more I'm like open to it. You know, I have my problems of them. I still don't think they're giving us a proper Doctor Doom, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. You know, Kayla's saying he had a very long conversation about this movie yesterday with the comic book store owner. So that's cool. Need to get you on here sometime to talk about some comics. But anyway, yeah, like it's going to be big. It has a big task though. This one thing that this told me that this cast told me about is we're seeing, you know, we've had so many different post-credit scenes and characters that we have not you know, just plot lines left open-ended that we haven't necessarily seen anywhere else since. You know, like, for example, Shang-Chi set up stuff. We haven't seen anything else with Shang-Chi. You know, stuff with Namor. You know, like, we're seeing all these different characters that were set up, but then not shown anywhere else. And so I don't feel like this movie is wrapping up every single loose end, but something this cast tells me is it's wrapping up what seems like most of these loose ends of stuff that we're like, well, wait, what's going on here? You know, one thing that this movie's telling us is like, wait, the events of the Marvels might actually be one of the movies that's actually very important to watch before this movie.
Especially the end, because the end credit scene where you saw
we saw a full-on incursion happen. We saw what that sort of effect is normally when you don't have anybody to fully maintain it, you know, and you know, like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness introduced this idea. I need to rewatch that movie because I remember when I watched it, I didn't like it. But the reason is because the purpose of that movie, what the name of that movie is different than what leads you to believe of what the purpose of the movie actually is. And so when I watched that movie, I was really disappointed that it's not what I was led to believe that the movie is instead of what it was. So I need to watch it again to see if I actually appreciate what we got. So
probably do too. I just don't remember it. I liked it when I watched it. I think I liked the Sam Raimi's of it. I think I liked it. There was Evil Dead moments. But I probably need to watch it again just to.
I need to as well.
So I haven't watched it as much as other Marvel movies. The later movies
I'm trying to think. Guardians 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, and Shang-Chi are probably the only recent of the Marvel movies I've actually gone out of my way to rewatch. Oh, wait, No Way Home as well. Other than those, I haven't really rewatched any of the others, I think. I'm trying to recall if I've rewatched any of the others, and maybe there's one other that maybe I did, but, like, I haven't.
Yeah,
they've been very hit or miss, and, you know, those 4 that I just named are the big memorable ones, I feel like, as of recent, So yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've watched a lot of them. We watched them. Yeah.
Horsey saying still watching Daredevil. I'm so far behind on Daredevil. I need to catch up. I think you're actually farther ahead on Daredevil than me. Are you?
Yeah, I'm on episode 4.
Oh yeah, you're
I've missed 2 episodes. So yeah, but I like it. It's a bit slow. It's slow, but I know something's coming. Something's building up. So
yeah,
you know, just have to wait.
Yeah, I heard the 2-part episode they did was good. So yeah, Kilo's saying Phase 4 has been very weak. Yeah, Phase 4 has been very hit or miss. You know, it's mainly things that are just meh, fine, not good. But like, there's a few great things in it, though. You know, I don't want to also diminish the great things that we got from it. Like Guardians 3, I think is one of my favorite ever MCU movies, if not even my favorite. You know, like I think that's such a great movie there. So, and No Way Home was great as well in its own ways, and so.
I mean, I think Shang-Chi was the one I
Shang-Chi was excellent. Yeah, that movie was so good.
That Tony Leung in it as well, who's never, I don't think, has done an English language big Hollywood movie before. I think it was good seeing him as the villain because I like his movies, Hero and stuff. You know, it was great seeing him in that. Just the whole film was just fun.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris here is saying Daredevil is fantastic. Kilo is saying that he's caught up to Daredevil and it's really good up to this point. Chris is saying it's up there with Penguin for him, which is crazy because Penguin is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Chris is saying the acting is fantastic. So yeah, no, I haven't gone back to it after watching the first 2 episodes, and I was really sleepy during the second one and got distracted with the first one because I was pissed off at it. So I need to give it a fair rewatch before I continue on with it. So I know I'm far behind. It's actually next up on my list of things I'd watch. So, and with it coming to a close, I have good reason to start binging. Yeah, and Matthew here saying Born Again is awesome. So I need to get to it. Need to get to it. So speaking of the things that we need to get to, let's continue on with talking about our comic news. We actually got some things to talk about. You know, surprisingly, as we were just saying, that's all we have for Marvel. I have some independent related news to talk about, so let's get into these here really quick. And then we have some DC stuff to lead into our main topic here. So let's get into it. Geez, falling behind. You sound like Ganon with his backlog. Well, you know, Kilo, I at least have the intent of watching it before it's done. So, but anyway, so also I need to watch rewatch Andor before season 2 comes out.
I haven't seen that neither.
Oh my gosh, you need to watch Andor before season 2. It's gonna be really good.
It's my type of thing.
You would love it. That's the thing, though, is like you would love it. All right. Anyway, let's get into this news, this comic news. Let's get into this smaller, more independent creator-owned news of stuff. Where first off, I haven't read much of these Comixology originals. There's like 1 or 2 I've checked out, but WonderCon is this weekend or was this weekend. WonderCon is finishing up as we speak. Actually, as it was this weekend, 28th through the 30th. And anyway, at WonderCon, it was announced that the Comixology is adding 4 original series and to their thing here. Comixology, obviously, if you subscribe to Comixology, you get all the Comixology originals there, but you also have access to all the Comixology originals if you're just an Amazon Prime member. So lo and behold, majority of people here, I'm going to bet, is an Amazon Prime member. Is who in the world isn't Amazon Prime in this day and age that you have access to? And so you could actually check out any of these for free whenever they come out, which is cool. So welcome in, Kat. What's up, Kat? Great to see you here. Actually, I didn't mention this earlier, but I know I haven't done a comic club episode in a while. I think last comic club episode I did where it was just a video just talking about the single issue that I used to be the main thing I tried to do here, which I haven't forgot about them. But I believe the last one that I did was with you, Comic, for our Absolute Batman issue.
Batman.
Absolute Batman was the last comic club I actually did, because shortly after that, no, I remembered. The week after Absolute Batman came out was when my laptop shit itself.
Yeah.
And then there was that whole debacle, and since then I've kind of just been more keeping up with doing some live stuff and whatnot. So
they're supposed to do Wonder Woman, I think. They're supposed to get Wonder Woman.
Yeah, we were talking about potentially doing Wonder Woman, and yeah, like we were talking about doing more of the Absolute stuff, and then my whole PC situation happened, and you know, I mean, I'm happy with how things turned out, but that left me without being able to do anything for nearly 2 months. So, uh, you know, you know how things go.
Yeah,
But
things happen. Life
yeah, things
happens.
happen. Yeah, life happens, exactly. But anyway, the point I was even bringing that up, I didn't even say why I was bringing that up, is because Kat here, we're gonna be bringing back the comic club. I'm gonna try to do that, figure out some sort of maybe more regularly trying to do it or something. I don't know. But we were actually just talking about this issue just before we went live comic. The Godzilla vs. Fantastic Four issue came out last week. And I picked up the last copy of I don't have it beside me or else I'd show it, but they had the last copy of my favorite cover that they had, which is a variant cover. It's a cool double spread cover of Godzilla, and all these different Marvel heroes. And so, like, I just love the cover, and Kat's a huge Godzilla fan. So we're going to be talking about Godzilla vs. Fantastic Four, which is the first in their series of one-shots. First of 6 one-shots.
Nice.
So, yeah. Cat's excited for it. Hashtag Team Godzilla is right. We're big Godzilla fans. We did a big Godzilla live stream last year for the Godzilla X Kong movie, which we both really enjoyed. So, but anyway, back to topic about this. Anybody with Prime can watch, or not watch, can read for free. Sadly, Matthew doesn't have Prime, which is surprising. Patrick, aka Gannon, isn't a Prime member because he has Walmart Plus for free. Yeah. Amazon is Patrick's mortal enemy working with Walmart. That's why he's not a Prime member. Exactly. Matthew says he doesn't buy much from Amazon, so doesn't need it. That's interesting in today's day and age, where I feel like the vast majority of people I feel like that you run into just take Amazon as a thing for granted to just order, you know.
It's convenient.
Like if it's not groceries, anything else you want, you just Amazon and it's there in 2 days. Or even some people do it from Amazon because of how like they're good some of their deals and whatnot are there and everything.
Books are good. I like the books. Get the books from there. If you can't find, just get books from there. Nice.
Oh,
Very convenient.
Chris, aka 1000th Ghost, be sure to check out his channel. He does a bunch of cool stuff. Sent Kat a huge stack of Godzilla comics to catch up on now. That's awesome. I believe, if I remember, you actually showed a bit of these on stream once. And I remember a good bit of stuff shown there, actually. And a lot of that stuff I actually have access to reading as well. I think I've only read like 1 or 2 issues of any Godzilla comic. So Matthew says he does get the free trials every once in a while. It's cool. Very cool. All right. Let's see here. What's about these? We have a bunch of stuff here. Where they just talked about in general what each of these issues are. Let's see here specifically what they are. Where they talked about lights, camera, action is one of them. Oh, wait, what is this? I didn't read up specifically on what these were ahead of time. But The Adventures of Ulysses Monarch is a fast-paced adventure that really doesn't say anything. Year 3026. Adventurer and archaeologist Ulysses Monarch searches for rare artifacts left by an ancient civilization. Written by Mark Guggenheim, so that's cool. We have Alienated. The time has come. The world wakes one morning of the news of alien contact finally, but they were all dead except for one. What doesn't want? Why did they arrive? And why did they all perish? When TJ, a retired teacher, and his grandkids come in contact with the alien, they are determined to protect it and find some answers. That seems kind of interesting.
Yeah, it seems
6 issues, and it debuts April 8th, so pretty soon. We got Edgeworld, follows the events of last season. So this is actually season 3 of Edgeworld, as it continues the 3rd and final season, featuring a rich and complex world of characters and stories, an edgy, potent adventure that's part science fiction and part detective series. Edgeworld is a unique blend of energy, comedy, and darkness. And then the last one is called Outer Lands, which is an original graphic novel. Is that no? where it features a young prince living in ancient Greshan. I probably butchered that. A world is exiled to a prison isle to keep him from assuming his throne. He unintentionally discovers a massive global conspiracy in this science fiction fantasy mashup. You know what? That sounds cool.
That does sound good. Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd you know what? I really need to read more of these because the few Comixology originals I did read, I actually really enjoyed, but I have not done any of that.
I haven't read enough
read much of
of them. I don't think I've read any of the independent stuff.
Yeah, but
But
you know
obviously I've
what?
read
What's unfortunate
straight up.
about these Comixology ones is the vast majority of them are only available digitally. There's a couple here and there that get printed physically,
right.
but usually only digitally. So,
Oh, okay.
so,
I
but yeah,
can't access them.
yeah.
Unless I
Have to
it
get
on
Amazon or Comixology, one of those two, but right digitally, you know. So,
yeah.
Let's see here. What else was talked about here in the chat? Yeah, Kawasango from an unboxing live because I remember that one. Very cool. We are the ancient civilization. You know, that is exactly what we thought. You know, ancient artifacts from an ancient civilization. We'd be quite ancient 1,000 years in the future. Be quite interesting how people look at us 1,000 years from now and realize how dumb we really are. But anyway. Well, here's something else that's interesting is we have some I wasn't aware of this situation, but it also makes sense why I never really heard much about it. Valiant was trying to make a comeback a bit ago, but then I haven't really seen any of that Valiant stuff come out. People might have heard of Valiant Comics as they had their own fair bit of heroes and whatnot. I remember Rai was one of the heroes. The one that most people would know because they actually made a movie off of this character is Bloodshot, starring Vin Diesel.
Oh,
If anyone remembers that
was
movie.
that. Okay.
Yeah, he was a Valiant hero. But anyway, Valiant was going to make a big comeback, but then got cut short where I think they only had like one arc happen and then it got cut short and just because of some distribution issue. But now, in the wake of all the stuff happening with Diamond and whatnot, IDW and Alien Books make a partnership where Alien Books, who is the one, or so Alien Books is going to be helping put out IDW's books here in the wake of what's going on here, in between everything going on with Diamond. Don't want to get too much into that right now, but people are now speculating, though, this could lead to the save of these Valiant comics coming back that was once planned. So we'll see if that happens.
So exciting! I'll get to see more stuff from them. I need to read more of them, I think.
Yeah. Matthew is saying 90s was more hopeful and then the 2000 hits.
No, it's not so hopeful.
Here's something I was curious about. Is not if you would have heard of this one. Is this one was actually an exclusive scoop on this site. But it's talking about a graphic novel that comes out in September this year. But it's from a critically acclaimed writer, artist, and director. Where I'm probably going to butcher this person's name. Ugo Benvenu. Have you heard of this person?
Yeah, look.
Let's look into what this person has done previously.
I haven't heard of him. I've heard of what he's done. But it's interesting as a director doing stuff with him.
Yeah. Is you know what? Leads me to believe this person is actually naturally French, so that's probably why. What's interesting though is this person's doing the original graphic novel, which looks interesting as it takes a dark introspection on the world, on the future of the world of social media, a bright dystopian future fans of sci-fi genre will love exploring the story, blah blah blah. Black Mirror-esque sort of story, and I don't know, just this cover stood out to me, and seeing some of this art here, I think it looks
yeah, the art looks good. That looks very good.
So This reminds me of Harrison Ford here.
Maybe he modeled it.
Range
I
two.
mean, maybe he modeled the character. I mean, could have done. Got a sheep.
Yeah, we're saying, yeah, the art in this is cool. So, let's see. I got some clarification here. Ugo Bienvenu is his name. So
Okay,
there we go.
I haven't heard
Yeah,
of that.
yeah, me neither. Last other bit of independent related news is actually from Image, where Image is coming out with, they're actually reprinting these stories in a different light. So 4-issue, have you heard of this? Gienah? Naked
No.
Aggression comes out later this year. Originally, the once black and white story that was only in the Image's anthology stories is now coming back for 4 issues, but it's coming back in a different light this way, as this was featured in only in a black and white anthology series. Now it's going to be in full color. So what is it about? It is about there's a contract out on Gienah. She has managed to stay alive long enough that the contract has been resold several times as consolidated debt between criminal organizations. Now she intends to put a stop on the chain of custody on that contract with a bullet. So yeah.
Oh.
Inspired by
Nice.
Gun Honey and Electra Assassin.
Oh.
So
Gun Honey, I haven't seen. But Image, I like Image Comics. But that's the independent stuff I probably read.
It seems like a cool way to bring it back, you know.
Yeah,
I can get with it. Chris is saying no idea who he is, just know how to pronounce foreign names. English is stupid. Yes, this is true. For every rule there's 3, no, more like 5 sub rules to every rule of why that rule isn't the case. So you gotta love how it is.
output.
Yeah. That's how it is, you know, like.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. So what can I say, you know? So anyway, let's get into our DC news. Go through this before we get into our main topic here. We have, do you read Superman?
I picked up a few issues, but I was a bit behind on some stuff. I think I picked up an issue in the middle of a story, and
sure.
I kind of I pick up World's Finest is what I get.
This is funny.
So,
Matthew says we should have kept the language of the birds instead of multiple others.
Yeah, would have been more simple. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about this though. As the current Superman run, Superman issue 24, which just came out, was the end of the massive arc that they were just working on, and now issue 25 is the start of like a new era of the Superman run, still from the same creative team, as they've been killing it. The art in this has been awesome. I've really been enjoying the writing from Joshua Williamson in this. But this, though, in particular, is a big issue, though. A little bit bigger than your average one, as it's a, big special one that comes out April 23rd. But this is going to feature the return of Lex Luthor. Throughout this entire series, Lex Luthor hasn't been the Lex Luthor as you know of. And so here we're seeing Lex Luthor come back in a different way. I find it really interesting here. When you look at Lex Luthor here, you might notice the suit that he's wearing. You remember in the iconic Death of Superman arc when he comes back as, in Return of Superman, he comes back in a very similar costume there. If not the same exact costume there, seemingly, as you see the S there on it, and looking like he has powers here and able to just fight Superman and Superwoman here. Is that is Lois Lane now? So it's going to be interesting to see Lex Luthor back in this way.
Has it been Doomsday that he's been? Is it Doomsday?
Yeah, this arc that just wrapped up is stuff dealing with Doomsday, which is really interesting. I highly recommend it. I have the last 2 issues of that arc to read in my pile. But what's really cool about it, though, and what's really cool is if you know the history of Doomsday and where kind of like Doomsday origin, the reason why he got in that pod that was sent to Earth was because essentially another alien civilization was able to beat him in a sense and put him into that pod and eject him to Earth. That's why Doomsday ended there. So there's some really interesting stuff going on with Doomsday's character that's different that you wouldn't expect from Doomsday. You actually see that pictured right here. But then there's also stuff going on with just talking about that alien civilization tied to Doomsday, where there's stuff going on with that alien civilization that's really interesting as well. So you know what, this Superman run, I have really enjoyed this Superman run. It started off pretty interesting for its first bit as it got into we got to see Supercore and trying to see Lex try to be good and all these enemies coming after Lex, and then we get into House of Brainiac, which was a cool event there. Seeing stuff with the mother Brainiac Queen and whatnot, and then we get into this cool Doomsday arc, which has been for the first bit of it from what I've read was really cool. So anyway, I am very much looking forward to now seeing this though, seeing Lex Luthor come back, and as they have been leading up to it a little bit as well, and probably even more so in these last couple as well. And so it's been a pretty good Superman run, not gonna lie. I've really enjoyed it. If you want some Superman stuff to read, it's good. I recommend checking it out.
Well, I wanted to go into it, and I bought a few issues, but I as I said, I think I was in the middle of a story arc. But I mean, this, if it's starting again, like there's a new arc, I
would say this one's probably a good time to hop into it. So if somebody wants any Superman, it looks like, even if you're not familiar with what happens before, the events of this very much shows where it's going to go with Lex Luthor coming back in a new way. And so you'll have a sense of familiarity too, of even if you haven't touched this run at all, it could be a good place to jump in on. So of
course,
worth checking out. So, all right. We also have, this is definitely not what I linked originally there, but I don't remember. Oh, I remember what was here. I don't know why this is now. When I was first looking at this article, that wasn't under a membership thing. That's dumb. But the point of what that article was is that Jonah Hex is actually coming back in Justice League Unlimited issue 8. So that's cool. But we also, yeah. So, and now Mark Waid also reveals that DC is reviving the Legion of Superheroes soon.
Ooh.
So, giving a little hint there at WonderCon as he's there, and he had a big panel there, and this is sort of the biggest thing that he's kind of led on about is that Legion of Superheroes are making a return soon, according to Mark Waid, who at DC is very much within the know. So
yes, he's probably got.
He's a busy guy. He's writing Justice League Unlimited, World's Finest. He's writing that new DC history of DC book that was just announced that I think we talked about last week. And so he does a bunch of stuff. It's crazy.
Lots of fingers in many pies. Lots of things going, they say.
Yeah. All right. And we have one more bit of DC news, which actually ties into what we're about to talk about. And that is the writer of Absolute Martian Manhunter. Originally, this was only a 6-issue series because Martian Manhunter just doesn't sell well on his own, which makes sense. When you think Martian Manhunter, you don't necessarily think, something I was thinking of today of like, of all the people at the Justice League, Martian Manhunter, he doesn't necessarily have like a arch nemesis that you necessarily tie to him. You know what I mean? Like, he's just kind of a character that's a great supporting character. There's a reason why he doesn't have a bunch of stuff on his own. But so because of that reason, though, and sales of Martian Manhunter are always just falling off after a bit. They're like, all right, we're just going to make this 6 issues long. However, due to the amount of orders issue 1 got and selling very well, all this Absolute Universe stuff has been selling very well. But specifically because of how well this first issue of Martian Manhunter did, because that we're about to talk about, has now been extended to 12 issues.
Nice.
So, and you know what that means too. If issue 6 and 7 continues to do really well, there's a chance where it could even get continued on for another 6 issues and so on. So it's going to be one of those series. If people keep on buying it, they will keep on making it, as Dennis Camp here has confirmed that he will. Well, he said it elsewhere, but it's going to be one of those books that there's going to be no guest artists on it. It's going to be fully him and the artist, as this is their special project. And so,
Controlled.
yeah, and so they said that they have plenty of other ideas of what they could tell for future stories if they ever get the chance to. But so it's cool to see that they'll have 2 full arcs now in this story, or up to So very cool. Yeah. So. And, that brings us now to our main topic, of let's talk about Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Flash. Let's get right on into them. As these issues just came out physically, and I read all my stuff physically. That's new. I don't necessarily have pictures and stuff to show of them, but since we're just talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter, and we both actually just shortly read this before we hop backstage, let's talk about that one first. That's the big issue that came out this week. Well, actually, one of the 2 big issues that came out this week, as this week was very packed with lots of great stuff.
Busy. It's a lot. I think I picked up 14 issues this week.
Yeah, it was busy. We got what is it? Batman issue 158 came out, which is the start of Batman Hush 2. Keep an eye out for me and Steve to talk about that on his show soon. But anyway, Absolute Martian Manhunter came out, and I just remember before reading this issue, there's so much praise that happened, that people were just talking about this issue of just saying it's just like really good and worth the read, and just saying it's amazing. And I think after reading that first issue, I understand why. First off, it's one of those issues that we could summarize the events of what happens in a single issue very easily, but the way they tell the issue, it's unique. It's not very straightforward. Like, for example, that Flash issue up until the last 2 pages was very straightforward in the way it told its story. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Not every story needs to be puzzle pieced together in some ways, but this Absolute Martian Manhunter here, though, was, and so it was cool though to see how that
very quirky. The artwork and the way it's structured is not your typical superhero origin story. It's left to pick up pieces.
See, that's the thing though, is this is a DC story, and we think DC thinks superheroes and whatnot. This story does not feel like a superhero story at all. It's like absolute Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman. You have this sense of familiarity that they are superhumans, that are not super, well, 2 of those especially, but you get my point, right? Not necessarily that they're, while they have the right intentions, obviously they kind of get mixed up on the wrong side sometimes. Like how Batman is with the cops, or there's stuff going on where the military doesn't like Superman because he's a literal alien. But you get the point though, of like, you get the sense of familiarity that like these are still in their own ways still a hero, right? But here though, or a super person of some kind, now fall under that category. But here though, it's just this, it follows the story of the detective John, which is interesting, and it begins with where you see you see that there's some sort of big explosion that happens right away. You're like, what happened? And you see that like he was caught in the middle of this big explosion. He somehow survives by a miracle with minimal injuries. We get hints throughout the issue of this like alien sort of thing talking to him. Literally at the beginning of this, it says, "Here, listen, comprehend me." With on that second page there, as he's waking up from the explosion, and we get to see all these cool like colors and whatnot throughout some of the pages, and like you get early hints of them, but then it just grows on more and more. So like here, I can show here on just for a little bit, you can kind of see, there the coloring of Martian Manhunter starting to come out there. Or what I really like. Or what I really like here is when he's lighting a cigarette, the alien is sort of like, in this sort of lighter sort of thing there, So it's a very interesting take on it and very cool art style. As you can see, you get along here, and you see you have like the normal version, but then there's a special colored version, kind of like this alien vision that you keep on seeing this sort of go up and around. And we find out, John's a detective here, and he doesn't want to stop working. And it's really interesting though too, because you're having a bunch of this sort of like monologuing, like, as you find out, the bombing at the coffee shop that happens right at the beginning is done by a suicide bomber. And it's interesting when you have like these bits of monologue, like saying like, why do people do the things they do? Why do some people get up, get dressed, and go to work faithfully every morning? And then one morning get up, get dressed, and go blow up a coffee shop. And
talk about cops. Why do some people be cops? Why do some people hurt people?
Choose criminals, that's because Yeah, and so it's really interesting. So it brings up like the monologuing of this is just very interesting as well, which kind of making you question sort of some, morality of some things, right? As you read through this, gets kind of deep in some places. And so anyway, even though he's told to not investigate the coffee shop bombing because he's technically a witness and not the investigator in this instance, he still goes to investigate this stuff anyway. I'm talking to different people and figuring out what's going on there.
The mom of the bomber?
Yeah, mom of the bomber, friend, neighbor. And it's interesting, though, too, because we're getting these hints of, like, how Martian Manhunter can, like, read minds or whatever, having the ability to do that. There's this interesting stuff, though, of where he's able to, just by talking to him, he's able to get that sense of, like, what really happens, or what's really going on with them. Such as, for example, he talks about with the mom, right? And so what's said here on the page, we see him verbally say, "Just a few questions, Miss Miller. Why Mike behaving strangely before? Was Mike behaving strangely before the incident?" And then she's saying, you don't see a response, but then in the narration sort of bubble, you see, "How do I know the bomber's mother hates pickles? Always gave hers to him." And so we get these different little bits like that as he's interrogating or asking these people these questions, which is interesting.
Yeah,
and
it's smoke as well. It's lots of smoke. Like throughout the episode, the issue, there's all these types of smoke, and you think I found it first what it was going to be, and then you end up being the thoughts of everyone around him as like this purple green.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a moment. But what's also really interesting though too is there's a couple instances of him being referred to as a Martian with how he isolates himself. One of those being with his family, because he's not close with his son as he's a workaholic. And what's cool here in one of the cases is you see his son playing with like modeling stuff, and he shows his you see right there, that's the models of his son that he made of himself and his mother. But then when he asks, "Wait, where's me?" you see this figure of a Martian there. And so So like, there's ways of, I get, the sense of what Martian Manhunter is still there, but redefined in a very different way, which is just very intriguing. As he's still a detective in this. He's still an alien in some ways. I mean, and there's still, we're getting this sense of an alien with him in some ways. He tries to get checked out again and finds out that there's nothing really. Doctor's like, I don't say anything. It's probably you're just stressed. But also being able to fully read his mind here as well. And these like cool colored speech bubbles too. Like that's cool. Like just the art in this is fantastic. It's just different. And so, like I said, like if you didn't attach DC to the latest front of this and not use the words Martian Manhunter, I wouldn't think that it's DC,
Because the other art looks like budget, big blockbuster stuff, and that looks very kind of almost like indie
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, no, like absolutely. And so that's really cool. Definitely worth checking out. And so, but no, what's also really cool with this is you're talking about the smoke and he's trying to breathe it in, and you see the alien at one point saying to try to more openly breathe it in, but he's just coughing it out, as we see right here, which is cool. But he's keep on just trying to cough it out, and as like all these people are emanating the smoke as he's now kind of this is a part where it's like very open, where I'm like, what exactly is going on here? What am I reading here at this point? How would you interpret of what was going on, everything with the smoke and him trying to cough it out and all this stuff here, like what's going on? What were you thinking was going on at this point?
Oh, the whole thing from the beginning, I didn't know if it was a dream, if it was a fantasy, if it was real. Like, I don't know which direction it was going to go in. As when you first saw the smoke and things, I knew it was hinting at things like it looked like a planet, like the Mars. But I didn't know who this guy was. Is it John Johns was the Martian Manhunter, if he was realizing he was? I mean, that's the mystery. I mean, where is he? Does he know he is? Has he got like his memory blocked and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Did the explosion release it? But then as it went on at the end with all the smoke, and it started, because there was some weird speech bubbles, really good, but they had like disjointed speech, like you didn't know what the talk was going on about. So I was a bit kind of confused, but then towards the end, as the smoke got, you saw it kind of in the characters' faces, and I kind of got a gist of it. In the last few pages of it, I kind of understood it, but the proceeding was just wonderful because you didn't know what direction it was going to go in, like what they were doing.
Yeah.
It's very, very different.
I feel like how I interpreted these pages specifically, that I was mentioning here with these people and all the smoke coming out of it, and he's being overwhelmed, and he's not one to accept being able to find out what's going on with them, I guess, or sense them, because as the point is, I think of this is that the Martian is trying to get him to accept all these different senses of stuff around him from the different people to find out more of what's going on here, but he's rejecting them. It's kind of like a Superman sort of idea, when Man of Steel, when he first like kind of gets there and can't properly use the powers and whatnot, kind of reminded me of that.
It's like awakening.
Yeah, an awakening of sorts. And so, and what's crazy here too is when he gets overwhelmed, like there's some amazing art here in the end, which is just wild. Like this page in particular, you probably know this one right here. You look at it and you're just like, wow, holy crap. What a page. There's one of those pages too. I don't know if you spent much time looking at this picture in particular, but if you turn it, like there's all this stuff that you can see written on top of it. You see him coughing all around up at the top right, as you see him kind of like walking around in a disjointed city, but you can also turn it upside down and it says other stuff. Some other things that's there as well, of like other buildings and whatnot. That's interesting. So it's a crazy piece of artwork there. And so like when I saw that, I was just like, wow, holy crap. The art here is just crazy.
Very lucid, and like,
yeah, right.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and you're just seeing this character now just run around seeing all these different colors of stuff, and he's trying to question what's real or not. And finally, the Martian is trying to talk to him a little bit, and he's like, "Who's talking here? What's going on here?" Is he trying to cough it out? And then saying, "Remember, man on fire, human flame, the smoke. What waited? Memory of no, not miracle, me, us." And he's saying, "What are you?" And he's saying, uh, the sort of Martian thing here, or this voice in his head here is saying, "Mind, hunt, kill, save, redeem, heal, now, now you through the smoke, remember, look." And now, did you end up doing the full thing with this page here? Because this is
I did.
I want to know how this works in.
I used to mirror.
Yeah, I want to know how this works on digital, as they probably just reverse it the other way. But they do something really cool that I've never ever seen done before, where it wants you to use something called Martian vision, where you're given this page, and this isn't going to show on camera at all. But the point is you want to do the page here so you can see the other side of this shine through. And when you shine this page directly through a light, you get to actually see, you can see the words here are backwards, saying we're the Martian mind beeper is what this says here. And then it says to be continued. But like, what's wild about it though is like you could actually see that clear as day. You know, I could hold it up on my light right here, and I see that stuff clear as day there, which is really cool. Because when you see that darker colors bleed through the other side of when you're just holding the single page here, you actually see it's this really cool image of where you see this, but then also the Martian here through the other side of his character. And not only that, where you see him on the ground, just laying on the ground there, you see all this Martian smoke also just over him in the form of the alien there. And so it was really unique though, because it's like I've never seen anything like that before. Like I've never ever, like I've noticed the colors of a next page when you just flip through a comic, the colors bleeding through those lighter, darker colors into the lighter sides there. But now when you're talking about it actually being something that's part of the comic itself, I thought is like, that's so creative and so cool that they did that, and actually creating a really neat effect when you look at it there. And I really wish there was a better way you could actually see what it actually ends up looking like together. But it's really cool. It's so cool of how that happens there. And so
sort of blend together.
Yeah, it does like very much blend together and all that, which is really cool. And so but anyway, with the story summarized, what's your overall thoughts on it? Like it, dislike it, anything you're looking forward to for where it's going, and or do you think it also deserves, from your first issue impressions, does it deserve this extension of 12 issues that was just announced?
I liked it. The thing is, I didn't expect to like it when I first found out, because when it showed the pages on the preview of like other issues, I was thinking like, okay, it's a bit too. I wasn't understanding what it was going on about, because it was just a lot of images. But as I was reading into it, I kind of got into it. It's still a bit. I think I need to read it again, but it was definitely a unique direction.
Yeah.
The artwork sells it for me. I think when you see it in all its glory, not just a preview page, I think it really sells it.
Yeah.
And I think just the idea of, if it's, as again, is it, like, is he awakening? Does that explosion, has it made his hidden identity come out? And are we going on a journey to find out? That's what makes this 12 issues arc a good idea. If they have a story and they're not just doing it because it's popular, and they can keep it going, I think it'll be really good. And it's just, it's just very different to the other Absolute stuff we've got. And I've never read a Martian Manhunter book before. This is the first one I've read. So if they do introduce villains, I don't know if it's going to be a psychological character study all the way through, which is what this is first issue is. But I'd be interested if they open it up a bit, maybe bring in other villains characters. But I'd be interested if it's just this guy just trying to question his identity in reality. And the last page as well, it has a bit of I think fourth wall breaking, which I found. I don't know if it does, where it shows a girl opening the actual comic book we've got, and giving instructions on how to open it.
Because it was like, this is how you do the Martian vision.
It's like
open it up so you
can,
yeah.
But overall, I liked it. I liked it way more than I expected to, because I was looking forward to the Flash one. I didn't know about this until about 2 weeks ago. It was never on my pull list neither. I ordered Flash, but never ordered this. But now I need to save it. Yeah, overall good.
Yeah, no, it's such a surprise of like, it's one of those books that you could tell, for me, when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, this book is it's unique, you know, in its own way. And, you know, when you have these books that are kind of like more unique and they personally don't want to try to give away too much, like, you know, when marketing these books, it's really hard to sell it in some ways, because it's like, well, you want to show, you need something to sell to people, but you also can't show too much on it, you know? And so I was intrigued by it. But then what really hyped it up for me was when you have all these different creators, they were DC sent out advanced copies to a bunch of different creators and whatnot. And every single one of those creators I saw a review of, like, this is excellent. This is, so many of them are expecting, like, this is an award-winning comic, that a lot of them are saying. And so, yeah. And after that first issue, I'm like, yeah, this is a fantastic setup, I think, for something really special. You know, I mentioned it earlier, but like it doesn't feel like you're a superhero story, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate DC is they have a really wide variety of stories, of the kinds of stories that they tell within their universe of stuff. And seeing that now, well, we already got a good variety with the beginning of Absolute Universe, because you have your street level, your sci-fi, and your fantasy corners with Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, respectively. But now we're getting all of that now expanded upon with seeing more of this Absolute Universe. And now we're getting a story in the Absolute Universe that doesn't even feel like a superhero story, but still fits in, and still fits with the idea of what Martian Manhunter is, but in a very completely different light, just like all these other Absolute stories. And it's just such a unique story where it's just like, holy crap, it's so cool, and so good. And so, like, I'm really excited to personally read more of it. I'm very intrigued though too, as you know, it was initially just meant to be 6 issues, so it makes me wonder as well how this other additional 6 issues are going to happen now with up to issue 12. How will these additional stories work? Because, you know, I would imagine you were saying that the first, or you were thinking that, like, is it all just going to be like a mind study? Is it just going to be him and the Martian the entire time? See, I would imagine that's what the first arc is. But now that they're going beyond the first arc, I'm like, well, what's going to happen in the second arc for it to be that way? Or, you know, like, are they going to bring in some sort of other threat? Like, what else is going to happen here? And to tell another complete arc there, while also keeping up with the strength of this first arc. So I'm very curious about what's going to be happening here with it, as it's such a creative start, creative use of colors. Shout out to the artist. What's the artist's names here? Javier Rodriguez. Yeah. So absolutely amazing art there, as he does a really cool mix of these weird psychedelic colors with all the people and whatnot, which is really cool to see. So absolute blast there. And yeah, it's so good. Can't wait for more of that. I think it's one of those things where the hype that people were brought up to it just like they did before Absolute Batman. It's worth a read, or even if you don't read it right away, read this first arc of this when it drops. And we got Nicole in the chat. Welcome in, Nicole. Thank you for coming by. Great to see you here. But yeah, Absolute Martian Manhunter is an excellent story. You really don't need to know anything about anything, is it? The great thing about all these Absolute Universe stories, and we're about to get into Flash here in a moment, Absolute Flash, but the great thing about these Absolute stories in general is you don't need to know anything about even any of these characters. You don't even need to know who Batman is to be able to read Absolute Batman. But point is though, is here even with a character like Martian Manhunter, which people aren't really that familiar with, like who he really is, other than just being like, oh yeah, he's that guy on the Justice League, the alien on the Justice League. Well, second alien on the Justice League after Superman, technically, I guess. But you don't need to know exactly who Martian Manhunter is, as this brings in a completely brand new, brilliant take on the character. Where I'm very excited to see where that series leads on to, of where it's just so unique, and it's a really nice, fresh breath of air, especially when we're talking about under this DC banner of all these different superheroes, and now you're having something that doesn't even feel like a superhero story, but still ties into everything.
Yeah.
So
pretty special. But I liked it. It was a surprising read.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Look forward to seeing where that one goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's one of two comics knocked down for our main topic. So let's now talk about Absolute Flash here. Let me hold on here. I actually meant to do something here, but for anybody tuning in, I'm going to have this up earlier. Be sure to check out Absolute Martian Manhunter, as it is absolutely brilliant, absolutely worth the read. This cover alone does kind of give you an idea of like how it looks, the coloring of it, and how it all looks there. So really cool.
Even the cover is nice. I mean, the cover is just really gnarly. It's just really
yeah. It is a really nice cover, which is cool. Trying to find. Okay, hold on. But yeah, next up we have Absolute Flash, where I know this is the one you were more excited for because you're a big Flash fan.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, this is the one that I was kind of like, well, this is interesting. Matthew says he'll be going in 20 minutes. Ruby Tuesday for birthday dinner. No worries. We will be wrapping up around that time anyways. So, but let's delve on into trying to pull up something here. Here we go. The cover of Absolute Flash right there. All right. So Absolute Flash issue 1, where this was definitely a bit more of a straightforward story, as we were just kind of talking about. But at the same time, though, immediately opens in a cool way as well, though, where we're seeing his thoughts and him not necessarily being able to keep up with his thoughts, which is cool. As you see, there's all this electric sort of stuff coming from him, as Flash. If you know anything about Flash and all that, it's the the whole Speed Force thing that he's now like infected with. It seems like, which is interesting. But it's really cool because you literally see here in this opening page, he's not able to keep up with himself and his thoughts there. You can see these like bubbles like getting ahead of one another here, which is cool. Some of them like kind of like leaving out where you can't really say, telling what he's really saying, and then it just blows up, the Speed Force that he just can't contain. And so it's very cool. And this is part 1 of an arc called Absolute Flash, End of Two Worlds. So anyway, after his sort of mental breakdown that he has in the middle of the desert there. He goes back in time. We see that he goes back and we see yeah, so it goes back to 2 days ago, and we kind of get an idea about his life, where his father works at some special high grade military place, some military town that's very boring, as it's, you know, the town's really only there because of the military stuff going on there. So, like, you know, it's a very boring place. He's bored there. As it's actually, oh, I should say it's actually Wally is the main character here. It's Wally. And we see, though, that there's a Barry Allen, though, that works here at this facility and kind of like takes in Wally. And before we continue, Matthew says, at least this Flash doesn't have NFT crypto art. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there. I don't know if I want to know what you're referring to there. So, but yeah. But anyway, this story though is really interesting though, because you're seeing you know, just like how you expect for like in the main universe, Barry takes in Wally, and which is cool, and we see there's all these monkeys being tested on. Then Wally's father finds Barry and Wally there, and so he goes back home. But then we get another flash to now. You know, kind of back and forth through time here, where we do see this group of people rushing. You know, you see Wally in the desert, but then there's this group of people in a car with a big special like boomerang drone send out something in search of trying to find where Wally is as he's on the run. And we get this group of people here, and where we can obviously tell this is led by a version of Captain Cold, but I'm not, you know, you'd probably be able to help me out with here, because I know some Flash villains, but I'm not familiar with Flash villains. So were you able to tell who these other villains were on that page?
No, the other two I wasn't. One looks like is it Puppet? There's a Puppet guy. I wasn't sure as well either.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah,
we don't know, and so anyway, we see Wally runs into a cave, and he then starts having another breakdown there, which then sends him back, and you know, where we see the flashback for now what happened a day ago, where his father then tries to connect with him now, and being like, you know, what you saw on the mountain, it's really dangerous. You're not supposed to. You need to be there, and so. But anyway, Wally, with not having a good relationship with his father, then runs away from home. We get, in particular, he goes back to the lab, to the last place his father, of course, doesn't want him to go back to. We see this monkey freak out. I like this monkey, which is people are thinking is Grodd, but we'll see about that. But yeah, special mind monkey there. But we see him go in. We also see that's like storming as well during this time. But we then find him going on this lab experiment that Barry's in the middle of, trying to do all this. I don't know exactly what this experiment is. They didn't really say what this is, did they?
No, they didn't. I
wonder if they'll elaborate on it. I hope they do, as I'm kind of curious of exactly what Barry was doing here. But anyway, Barry doesn't run as he should. Instead, he gets, or not Barry, Wally doesn't get away. You know, we just see something happen, and then it cuts back to now. Because, yeah, that's the thing, is we really just see this experiment, and then this is the end of the flashbacks.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
That's it. Because then it flashes forward back to the current time. We see the see one of the persons named is Harkness, the guy with the green blades there.
Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God! Of course, that's Captain Boomerang. That makes sense. Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold. I'm not sure who the other people are though, but yeah, the puppet thing, and yeah. But then at the end here, we get some flashes though. And what's interesting is as Captain Cold and Boomerang goes into the cave, so he can come out there. We then go see that he's still running away and having these flashes still as he's going, and seeing this explosion happen in real time, the incident. And then he just cries for Barry, as we then see, "You did this, Wally. You killed him," as we see his body right there, and he's crying there. So, crazy turn of events there.
Yeah. Unexpected.
Yeah, I know. They're
Unexpected.
killing off Barry within the first issue. Yeah. And so, quite wild. But then, we get flash forward 1 year later, and we get this monologuing. Somebody saying, "Access to Project Olympus archives requested. A password, Blue Trinity." And then the computer saying, "Access granted, retrieving archives." And then this person saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, time to make this whole world fall." And we see the person down there as he's watching over all these screens. We get a look at like what a suit will actually be, and we see this like flame. It's just a bunch of hints of stuff to come, which is interesting. We see a flame monster. We see Wally making friends with that monkey. What's that there? There's something going on. It looks like that's the incident of the town or something that we see there. And then also we're seeing a bunch of monkeys there, almost like it's Planet of the Apes there, taking over the town. So
yeah,
bunch of hints there of what's going on with Absolute Flash, which has me curious. That before we get into the main juicy bits of it, since we're talking about the end, let's go ahead and talk about that, where, it's... I find it so interesting. Why is there a flat? Like, why is it go into the future 1 year later to go into all this other stuff? And giving all these hints as we see. What's his name here? Mirror
Master.
Mirror Master. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was Mirror something. That makes sense. So, Planet of the Flash Apes, says Matthew, and Kilo says it's Clocky the Clown from Cat Streams. Wait, Clocky? Clocky was that the name of the clown? I don't. No. It was a joke Kilo was making there.
Oh,
but all right. Matthew has to head out. Thank you for coming by, Matthew, and hanging out as always. Appreciate you hanging around. But yeah, that's yeah, I found it interesting though. We're focusing on Mirror Master, where I need to read more Flash. Flash is one of those characters that's on my list of just stuff I need to read more of, and I just haven't yet. There's so much stuff to read. Not that I don't want to, but because he has some cool stuff. I've read a little bit. It's cool. So, but we're seeing Mirror Master come in. Well, here, what's your thoughts on like everything here? As you are, as far as I'm concerned, the Flash guy, as Flash is your favorite hero, isn't that right? Yeah. So what's your whole thoughts on this?
I liked it. Wasn't terrible. It was just, I think it was again beginning a lot of breadcrumbs, a lot of slight differences. The killing off of Barry Allen was a surprise. I'm not sure how to take it. I hope it's a shame we don't get to see all of it, but because it's a time, Flash does a lot of time travel stuff, so we could see him back.
We very much.
It was interesting. I mean, we get to see like Wally West with his anxiety. I think he has a lot of anxiety, and when he gets upset, I think he can't control the power, which is an interesting aspect of someone that has power, how it affects this character being a teenager as well. And it's also found out that he travels from place to place because his dad is in the army, so he's not exactly in a place where he has someone. He's always moving. So I think that connection to Wally West is really well developed here. The artwork's stunning. Really good. That desert stuff is amazing. And I really liked the inclusion of like some of his villains as kind of maybe good guys. They're working for the government. Very different
Yeah.
how they were. I mean,
Well,
it's the first issue of series, but
well, you remember in Absolute Superman, we have also from like these could just be people different section of the government is what it very much could be, because this is obviously a special government project. So we see Captain Cold and Captain Boomerang leading this sort of charge here of this team with these two other villains. I'm not quite sure who they are, but that's ultimately, yeah, I'm not familiar with the Flash villains ultimately. But you remember though in Absolute Superman we see the peacekeepers there, which is like other sort of part of the government stuff going on there too, you know, government soldiers and whatnot. So something else there that, you know, how it connects there. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, could be like a little secret connection, maybe.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was not bad. It was as I said, compared to Martian Manhunter, it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
Very your kind of typical origin hero with a few surprises in. I'd pick up the next ones, yeah, definitely for sure. And I'm just glad that we're getting an absolute Flash. I just want Green Arrow next. I want Green Arrow. Hopefully that'll pick him up soon.
Could be interesting. We'll see what else happens in this absolute universe. Need some time to breathe for sure. I like that they're taking their time setting up everything, and I mean, so far all their issue ones so far. We'll see if it keeps up next week with Green Lantern, but so far I think all their issue ones has been each a really good start for each of those runs, and so far all the Wonder Woman and Batman stuff has been really good, and so
really good.
Yeah, like it's so worth checking out all these absolute stories. And I think this is another pretty good start. As you mentioned earlier, I think the use of the Speed Force and with his anxiety is like really cool. It's a cool new way to show the Speed Force. So we're going to see him utilizing the Speed Force in a different way, I think. And it's going to take a different kind of toll on his body, probably. Like in this case, I think it's going to be more of a mental than physical tool, where it's the other way around, I think. And, you know, as you regularly see Flash. So I think that's an interesting idea, and how it really takes this mental toll. We keep on seeing exactly the stuff with Project Olympus. And so finding out more about that, as, you know, just as you mentioned with Flash, the thing with Flash is he's known for being able to go back in time and whatever. And we do get this essence of jumping around in time. And so I'd expect that to be a normal thing going on within this series, as well as we, you know, finding out more of what's in the past. We have this Mirror Master story in the future that's going to tie in somehow, which that's interesting. Like, you know, like as I mentioned earlier, I just find it interesting right off the bat. Hey, 1 year later in the future, here's Mirror Master giving us hints of these things to come. So
probably 12 issues. Not 12 issues, but like it reminds me of Ultimate Spider-Man. So it's building up. Like each issue is like a month. I mean, it might not be, but yeah, it just reminds me of that.
Yeah, like we'll see what happens and how it all happens there. And so I'm definitely looking forward to just finding out more about it, seeing more of learning more about this military team hunting him down will be interesting. I would like to figure out who these other two villains are, as I currently do not know.
One of them is it Ragman? I think he was in the mask. Looks like he was in an episode of Flash. I think after that, you know, it reminds me of him, but obviously they've changed it to a female.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It just doesn't help. I don't know Flash villains.
Dollman. I'll let you know. Something similar reminds me of one of the characters. I'll find out.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There, a lot of this issue is just set up. That's these things with these issue ones, and especially in a brand new universe. You have to tell a really good, you know, you have to set up everything properly. That's why I feel like in a lot of times, just like TV shows, I feel like sometimes comics you have to sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying this issue. I thought it was a pretty solid issue. I like Martian Manhunter more, actually. I thought it was a better first issue, but like this one was still pretty good as well, though. But where I was getting to though is I feel like comics have a similar rule of thumb with TV shows where I think TV shows have like a rule of 3 where like, 3 episodes to fully be able to judge should you continue, should you not, And I think comics are sometimes the same as well, where sometimes, like these episodic stories, they just need some more time to fully get going to their potential. And so, especially when you're getting into something like this where it's a bunch of setup to figure out where it's really going and get the vibe of it. But I think, though, it's giving a bunch of hints. We've got the foundation of Wally's character here, which is very important, so they can start getting into more and more stuff going forward. But then also, as you mentioned, leaving a bunch of breadcrumbs, learning more about Project Olympus, the monkey, all the teases at the end. It definitely makes you want to leave more. And then, the death of Barry Allen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like that's interesting. Is he gonna just remain dead in this universe? See, I would think so, but we'll see what happens. Because I wouldn't be surprised that there would be something involving Wally trying to save him a bit later on. Well, when I say a bit later on, I mean a bit later on, because that would obviously, I feel like it would take a bit of time, because he's going to have to A, figure out how to even regularly use it, or B, figure out the other powers that's connected to it, and then C, he would get to the point eventually where he can actually use the powers to do more time-related stuff for him to even do that, I feel like.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, needs everything, all this stuff to come together. So, he's got to figure out how to use them, because he's got his anxiety and everything stopping what he can do. So yeah, I'm done. I'm definitely. I think I'm now invested in all these absolute stuff that I probably will buy and read them all, because I just like that world and what they're doing. So yeah, I'm on board with whatever's.
I 100% agree. I find this absolute stuff so good. It's so brilliant. After reading, my thing was when you see all this new universe begin, especially Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman was the one I was going to read no matter what, because it's written by one of my favorite comic writers. But when you also see, heard all this praise about Wonder Woman going into it, but then also Jason Aaron is on Superman, writing a new take on Superman. It's like, okay, let's see what you have going on here. And all of those turn out to be really strong. And after that, it's where I'm like, you know what? I'm all in with this absolute universe. It's so good of everything they've been setting up with this universe. It's really a great universe. And so glad to actually be able to really delve in and talk about all this absolute universe stuff once again. And, we'll have to definitely figure out to fit in more of this absolute universe talk, as it's just a good story overall. And especially now with these like first volumes of stories ending, maybe we can figure out to do like a overview episode or something, maybe over like Absolute Wonder Woman or Absolute Superman or something, or even Absolute Batman, since that first arc actually just finished up this week. So we'll have to figure out more absolute stuff to do, as I absolutely love talking about these. These are absolutely great. And yeah,
we got Mr. Freeze coming up next, I think, in the next one. Mr. Freeze and
Mr.
Bane,
Freeze and Absolute Batman, yeah. That'll definitely be worth something talking about sooner than later, for sure. So
looks very creepy. Looks good.
It's a new take. It's a very new take. Yeah, we're getting a look at a new take on Mr. Freeze. We got our look at a new take on Bane, where Bane's massive. Yeah. Bane is massive with a tiny head.
And that Joker on his chair. Did you see that? I think in the last issue, his chair seems to be like human people. I don't know. It was a weird thing. It's very strange. So,
yeah, lots of good stuff to look forward to from the Absolute Universe on all ends, I think. Great time to be a DC fan. Great time to not only be that, but also a great time to be just a comic fan in general, or a comic book fan, if you will. Thank you for joining me here today. Great having you on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, thank you for coming on. It was great having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Cool. It's so great to have you here and to do all that. I do have in the description, I have your Twitch down there. So I know, you know, you
Yep.
do your Twitch stuff over there. So go check out Comic Book Fan on Twitch. Be sure to go check out all that stuff there. Be sure to come back next week for the Comic Den for a special indie episode covering Super Guy, where you know what, I just want to get at least a few more eyes on this issue. So please go. I really, you know what, please come back next week to check out Super Guy as we talk about some of Super Guy issue 1, and it'll be a special episode as the artist and writer and artist for this will be here. So very, very much looking forward to a special. We're going to be first time covering an indie comic like this on here on the channel, and not only just on the channel, but on the on this podcast as well. So very much looking forward to it. So be sure to stay tuned for that next week, and then week after. Actually, I already have next week's planned as well. Look at me go. Where the week after we'll be talking about Hickman's Secret Wars. We're plan to have somebody else join us then, another good friend. So be sure to stay tuned for all that. And without further ado, thank you everybody so much for hanging out. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you all later. Laters, everybody. Bye.